Gentlemen, welcome back to the shop on this fine winter, autumnal eventide. We take some delicious idle, one might call bumblefuckery, here in the shop. How can you tell the Dewclaw was here? On account of his sacrifice to the Elec chicken gods. There's piles of shit everywhere. And he left us these, which we will be taking apart. Here's a brushless, 1 year old. Got a nasty surprise about this one. And this is a brushed, 3 years old, still chooching. According to the Dewclaw's debriefing, that's as close as he gets to having sex nowadays. He bought this one, used it for a number of years, and then he saw this one with the speed adjustment, better feather control because of the brushless and so forth. Bought it, used it half a day, and ended up with a bumblebee colored crib death. Now, in the far distance, learn in close and careful real listeningly, you can hear the gnashing of teeth, the rending of flesh, and the ululations, lamentations of home gamers everywhere asking why for you wouldn't bring this back for a warranty if it crapped out half a day. Here's the thing. When you're working for a big outfit for multiple hundreds, billed out at multiple hundreds of beer tokens per hour, ain't nobody got time to go back to the wholesaler or look for the invoice what already got submitted for expense and try and claw your way back. They call that in the industry slippage, and they count on that. The manufacturers do. You see, there's going to be some warranty, and there's also going to be some slippage. You know those rebate slips, what you got to send in your receipt, 5 box tops, and a Captain Crunch whistle? That is called slippage. And yeah, that's pure profit for these guys. Where was I going with this? Yeah, chances are, quite frankly, I'm onto your tricks. I see you out there, electricians. He wasn't even actually using this. He just took the proper size flat blade screwdriver in here with the knobby handle, got up against some ductwork, and scared the straw boss away. What? I can't hear you. Must be my ear infection. You ain't the boss of me anyway. Not yet. I forgot to mention this, but this is a DCF 887 made in the USA out of Global Materials. Very likely this assembly came straight from the Big Rock Candy Mountain, and some fella in Georgia or Minnesota or somewhere in the flyover states there stuck the label on. Kind of sideways. We're into the half shell here, and I don't see any shit stains the backside of this Venus de Milo, so we'll have to dig a little deeper. This half shell is actually a beautiful part. Lots of fixturing, lots of through holes for the overmold greebling, pew pew, spaceship style to stick on there. We have some texturizing on the mold in order to keep it in the mold side as it goes through its rotary changes to mold first this yellow and then second this black TPE stuff. Glass fiber reinforced PA6 30% with TPE. That's a nice part, nice and stiff despite not having a whole bunch of ribs through it. So I would venture to say quite a bit of plastic used in that part there. That's a tough little, real thin cross section, no draft. At first glance, just looking at this, I would say it's a well-built tool because there's lots of handwork in here. All kinds of celastic rigidifying the connections, the electrical connections, so nothing's going to shake, rattle, and roll loose. No bellows on the trigger switch. This trigger switch appears to just actuate a, it's with the wiper and a potentiometer. And that potentiometer gives positional feedback as to how much chooch you want in the chotch. And then this guy choreographs the angry pixies out of the battery into the three-phase, the brushless DC motor, which is pulsed AC, essentially. The speed switch, surprising to see, is an actual ka-chunk slide switch. That's nice to see. But all it does, there's no gearing change at all. All that does is just control how much speed and torque output out of the motorb. Framing, you fuck! Motorb. A closer look reveals nothing. No shit stains at all. I don't think the problem is with the confuser. And we have a look at this actuator. There's a nice wide rail here to keep that for tweaking. Couple that with the fact that it's fully surmounted in amulite on the periphery. We're taking off the 3-pole Hall effect sensor, or 3 individual Hall effect sensors. And this is the rear bearing housing. It doesn't look too skookum, but one thing that's nice is it's separate from the casement. I've been using these impacts steady now all summer, building all kinds of things, tin bashing and tin roofs and just all sorts of disgusting wood elfery. Don't judge me. We all succumb at some point. You don't know until you try. Why? Okay, riddle me this. Since you use it like a fucking hammer anyway, why not make it out of steel and make it a hammer housing so that you can tap on stuff completely guilt-free? Well, not that I have guilt, but so it's actually designed for tapping on stuff. Huh? I swear, the guys what designed these have never actually used them. This is a neat little amendment. Well, first off, you see, the thing's never been used, to speak of. Tiny little bearing on the back side there. There's the 3 Hall effect sensors. Melted, and then a little pin of some sort of urethane compound to keep that bearing race retained. That little red teat on there might also help to mitigate some high-speed vibration as well as a little bit of noise. Mightn't be. These are the electromagnetic coils what affect the permanent DC magnets in the rotor here. Before, if you look at that, 4 splits, so there'd be 4 magnets, 8 poles, but the magnets are probably axially, so it'd be north, south, so you'd actually only have 4 poles affecting the electromagnet. How this comes out, this is interesting. It appears as though the front bearing housing and retention for all of the guts of the hammering is retained with some glue. We might need to go in through the gland end and beat the hell out of that. That's cute there too. There's a spring-loaded pin that pushes out your bit. That's a cute little feature there. Oh, whoopsie doodle. Huh. Here's the motor rotor. Hello. It boggles the mind how much power can be put through a thimble full of magnets on the backside of the pinion going into the input side of that gearbox. Just regular old axle grease on there, just typical old axle grease, and then we got molybdenum disulfide on some of the metal injection molded parts. It appears as though even the hammer and the dogs and the anvil are metal injection molded parts. It sure looks like it. It has been machined after the fact though, so it could very well be a finely forged component, but it sure has the countenance of a metal injection molded part. The back of the bearing, an interesting accoutrement here for some sort of polycarbonate see-through sealing. It's not a seal, it's more of a shield. I don't see what the problem is. It's not jumping out at me. There's no shit stains or nothing. We're gonna have to put this back together and go back to doing the easiest thing first, which is putting a battery in it and testing it. Just on a hunch, I stuck the dick in the vise here, and I think we found the problem. It was stuck. It did not want to actuate on this spring, against this spring, and that's what actually allows the dogs to go up and over the anvil and hammer again. So it would have been only spinning and not hammering. I had to put quite a bit of force on this handle in order to get it to clack back, and now it seems to be moving free. I'd be willing to bet that was the problem. Oh, for fuck's sakes, you fucking moron. As I'm looking at the vise, I look over the workbench and what do I see? The receiver for the mic. Apologize if the stereo has been fucked up, but it'll get better here momentarily. Hey, carnal. ¿Cómo está usted?
Hey, good. How are you? Why are you calling me?
Well, I realize, I apologize here. I got you on speakerphone with
Okay.
200,000 of your bestest new friends.
Oh,
That I know it's your bedtime and you're probably balls deep in some dirty Siemens bilge. But that DeWALT impact gun, what seemed to be the conjunction in the malfunction?
What do you mean it works?
Well, I don't want to bias the results, but what was wrong with it?
It just wouldn't turn, I guess.
Like not at all.
No.
Okay. Very good.
Just like in between gears or something like that?
No. You gotta wait for the red carpet. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I see. You're just giving me just enough rope to hang myself. Okay, I get it.
I all heard the man. I think what we have here is we got cocked up on this by a smidgen of schmoo. Let's get her back together, test a route. Now, before we get too keen and enamored with pounding ourselves on the butt, let's get this, patting ourselves on the back, rather. Let's just give her a wee kiss of the, ooh, Jesus, of the angry pixies. Fuck me. All those electronics, eh? As soon as you plug it in, it sparks. Yeah. Power. It appears to be working. You always catch things as you put them back together. Of course, after you had them apart, that's part of the test, is if they go back together decent, you know, chances are it's going to be a decent tool. I like the little winglets here. All of the details, as I say. The wire routing, lovely. And then this is fucking pure shite. You have a look at that Molex connector, dingle-dangling in the breeze, and you actually got to bend it. It's factory bent out of position in order to get it in position. Put the detent in there. Well, you know. Spins up quick. No funny sounds. No rattling. We know that the motor circuitry is intact, at the very least. Make her work a little bit. I would venture to say that is fixed. Granted, I ain't no expert mounting octo boxes, but this probably a bit more than you'll ever need running those number 6 1/4-inch long screws that electricians are wont to use. That works a treat. Another job well done. Oh, fucking reverse action got me. Back to the drawing board. Thanks for watching. Keep your dick in a vice.